Alright. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday, which feels like Sunday because the market is closed today due to President's Day as I make this video. And we're back in the game tomorrow. Now, this video is going to be about Unity software, U, ticker symbol U. And this is basically a company that merged with Iron Source back in 2022. I think it was November. Yeah, November of 2022. They had a merger with Iron Source, and it hasn't gone well. The ad business, advertising business, which is a huge part of what they do, really hasn't gone well. So I kind of want to talk about everything from the narrative sentiment to their growth potential. I'll talk mainly about flows, the market cycle we're at. I'll talk a bit about the technical chart as well. And yeah, we'll go from there. So first of all, I am long the stock. I like the stock. I'm bullish long term. With that being said, this is a high risk, high reward play. All right, what do I mean by that is that recent earnings were bad. I mean they haven't really shown the ability to turn around the company, which is basically what I'm betting on, a turnaround. And if you kind of look at their huge, bigger competitor, which was App, right? AppLovin, they've been killing it. So that's also a stock that we kind of liked in the Discord, especially. Guys, if you don't follow me on X, I'll link my X account, which formerly known as Twitter, and the Discord, which we're closing access for new signups basically in the next day or two, just so you guys know. But I'll post the links below. Pretty sure I'm gonna upload this video both on X and YouTube, so that's that. All right, but yeah, AppLovin has been killing them, and they actually showed tremendous growth. They showed that they're just taking over the market share as a competitor. So that's definitely also something that we want to watch. Now back to Unity. Okay, now let's do. I'm gonna start with technicals and flows, and then I'll kind of mix it a bit with fundamentals. So we kind of do everything together. Now, first of all, before we dive into everything and all the good stuff, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. No one in flow trading or its affiliates are advisors. Everything I talk about here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Make sure that you guys invest according to your own risk preferences, and understand that there's a lot of risks in investing overall, especially when it comes to growth stocks and businesses that are currently in a potential transformation. All right, so that's that. So let's talk about the chart a little bit. That's going to be on log, obviously, because such a huge percentage move from all-time highs of 200s to lows of basically below 20. So chart's going to be on log. Let's switch to normal candles here. Okay, now that's just daily to kind of show you guys what I see. All right, the inverse head and shoulders we had from summer of 2024 into September of 2024. This is where we started to see a lot of very, very interesting and unusual options flows that I'm gonna show in a second. Okay, that's when I started buying. I've said just recently, every time that it dropped below 20, I'm a buyer, so I actually just bought some. It was kind of a nice, timely local bottom that I timed here, another buy. But to be clear, short term, we have earnings this week. I personally don't care much about price action short term, so I don't care if it drops, if it pops, if it's doing nothing just to kill all the premiums, options premiums. I personally don't really care too much. What I do care about is the next, let's say, 2, 3, 4 earnings reports. So basically, I want to watch it in 2025, and we have to see improvements. Okay, they've changed their leadership, which is always a good sign and gives you kind of potential for a company to, to grow and transform their business. But I believe in the business model, I believe in the market, so I'm willing to take the risk reward here. I do believe that this area right now where we had kind of at the 20, below 20, is a good spot for me to buy and bet on the long-term potential as a deep value play. Okay, so again, kind of a little bit about the chart. I'm going to switch to weekly now because, again, don't care much about daily. If we kind of do all-time lows, right, reverse fib into July 2023. Okay, that's a reverse fib, so it's basically giving you a potential uptrend, which if you kind of look in, right now, you can see what happened right from golden pocket. Back in November 2023, it actually popped. That's when it dropped big time to a potential selling climax. So this could have been the bottom, $13. Could have been the bottom. Maybe it's going to drop even below it. Again, we can't really know the future. That's why we keep following markets. Obviously, flows, which I believe are the main driver of markets in this derivatives-driven market. Options are the way that institutions and everyone's actually hedging their books and their positions. So that's how we kind of find asymmetric opportunities for potential multi-baggers, okay? So that's just kind of levels to watch if you want to watch this year as of the current cycle. Again, why I'm interested about this one is because here we had a big sell-off that also was part of the 2022 bear market overall in the market. In November of 2022, we also had the merger with Iron Source, which is a company that I have a few friends that actually worked there, and now they're in Unity. So I'm also kind of interested always to ask and talk with them about the narrative and what the company is looking like and everything. They just had another layoff run, basically. So, you could say that it's some people don't like seeing it from within the company, but at the end of the day, layoffs could be good for a company that wants to grow and kind of focus on the on growth, right? On the right things. Okay, so that's just a bit of what we want to watch. If we can kind of claim on weekly, on the monthly, 23, take a few cents above golden ratio, right? Which is the 0.618. Claim 23, and if we can also validate finally some strength and improving earnings, then this is a very good sign. Okay, claiming 23, not only like what happened here, which was a nice move, but also actually supported by not only flows and chart, but supported by strong earnings. This way, if we claim 23 with a good quarter or two, I believe this chart has potential and this stock has potential to be a multi-bagger. My timeline is 1 to 3 years. Okay, so we're talking about 2028. As always, we're going to keep following the flows, keep following the markets, keep watching, but these are the levels I want to watch short term and reaction on the weekly. Okay, so that's that. Now, after talking a little bit about the chart, again, as I've said, I don't care what happens price action wise on earnings this week because I don't trade options on this name. I don't long options at all. The only thing I might do is maybe I prefer to actually just buy shares here because it made more sense to me. But on potential some downside, if I do like the earnings reports, I might sell puts at some point. I'm not looking to sell covered calls at all because, again, I like the stock. I want to keep holding it. The only reason I might maybe do it is kind of if into end of week we see huge upside vol, meaning a big move, 15% at 20% day. In this case, I might do it. There's also a lot of retail participation through options overall on this stock because they're gaining more traction lately. Okay, so that's kind of my approach on this. Now, in terms of the flows, so check out what happened back here. That's from September of 2024. We had a lot of flows that I talked about, guys, on X a lot. If you guys remember, I said, don't look at it as something that's super bullish short term at all. And again, eventually, obviously, as you can see here, it was here. Let's see, September. I'm gonna open it. Okay, the $15 calls, they were in the money at that time. I think we even had the $20 calls were more active. Yeah, here you go. That's the 90-day contract from Unusual Wells. All the volume entered here, you see? So what we can tell, looking back into historical volume and open interest, is that back on September 20, 23rd, 24th, 25th, we had a lot of volume stepping in here. Okay, that's institutional volume. Looks like, again, a lot of speculations. Maybe it's someone, maybe even Roaring Kitty. I saw a lot of people talking about it. The one, deep FN value that bought, that's very famous for GameStop, GME stock. Personally, again, it's fun to speculate about it, and there are a lot of good takes and reasons why it could be the one. I think he could actually buy it. Yeah, it's a good take because he's a deep value investor at the end of the day. So maybe he's seen something here, but again, I care less about, it's only speculations. I really care about what I do, my positions, and what we see, not what other people do. So this is unusual, right? I mean, it's not huge, but it is unusual for this stock to see $7.5 million, then 2.3, then $5 million, then almost $7 million all on basically a chain and options chain and a contract that hasn't seen even close to this money. So this all happened from September 20th in the following 4 days. Open interest went ahead and went up in the following days, not on the all volume. Could be just two market participants switching hands, could be intraday trading, a lot of reasons. Again, Fugazi, we kept following it. As I've said, being in the money calls higher delta. I don't see this as directional right away at all. And look what happened, obviously. After that, not much happened, right, in the following weeks and months. So as I've said, just something to keep watching, keep watching. Now, this option expired. It was into January OPEX. OPEX is options expiration for anyone who doesn't know, which means looking at this volume now, and they held most of it, you can see that on January 17th, the $20 calls, right? We're going to switch back to daily. On January 17th, which is monthly options expiration, the stock actually closed at 21.7 on Friday, January 17th, 2025, monthly options expiration, which means they closed in the money. Now you start saying, okay, they could have exercised to get shares. They could have done a lot of things. They could have, again, that's all speculation. What I care about here is kind of keep looking at it now after we've seen this volume. So it tells me that there's a lot of flows that are coming into the stock, right? A lot of unusual flows, a lot of interest overall on the stock. And then if I'm going lately, let's look again. Something that actually caught my eyes. January 30, small money, true. Probably retail, a few hundreds of thousands on calls. But again, it's kind of a January 2026 accumulation, something that I definitely want to keep tracking throughout 2025, and that we're tracking a lot on the Discord. On January 27th, we had a decent floor trader that actually entered through what looked to be like short puts, right? So selling puts, they lost value. Then they entered another one here and kind of pumped. Fugazi, right? It sold off. Also lost value. And we can tell that these are new positions by open interest change, right? Volume was 700 only. And then, open interest was 763. Volume 5,000 on January 27th. Then another volume, 5,000 entered on February 5th. And twice open interest went up, almost equal to the whole volume traded, which tells us that this is the same player. Again, it's not big, but it's unusual enough for this stock to be interested. So it tells me again, there are flows that are actually entering on this stock right now. Shorting puts, which means willing buyers of the stock. And that's what we've been kind of watching and looking for when we're looking at flows. That's what we want to see. We want to see a potential shift in flows. And I don't mind seeing some bears as well. That's just how it is, right? We want to see bears, but we want to see them eventually getting squeezed by everything aligning. Flows, market cycle, which is right now very beneficial for growth. I'll give you even another one quick, which where was it? I think this one, $1.2 million traded, 1 cent above bid. You could most of the time maybe ignore it because it's a cross trade. So basically matched buy and sell order between market participants. Could even be brokerage doing it for the same institution or the same, that's just how cross trades are, right? So you can maybe ignore it sometimes. I do like to watch it if it's unusual and interesting. And on January 23rd, we had someone open these contracts. Again, you can tell by open interest being 1,300 and volume being 2,104. And open interest went up in 2,104. So they basically opened. It's a new position, all of these contracts. Quick explanation, guys. Open interest is basically the amount of contracts being currently held by market participants. Could be long, could be short, whatever it is, it's the amount of contracts currently being held. So this tells us that this is a new position that was open on January 23rd. And looking at the field, at the spread, spread here, again, 1 cent above bid, not too wide, but kind of a wide spread. Delta below 50, but in the money. Again, for me, just tells me that this is writing puts. Willing buyers. Writing puts is to September 2025. And they're still holding. You can also always look back at the timing and say, okay, January 23rd, they opened it here, right? We're talking about just now in the last month, this year, 2025, right here, January 23rd, they opened short puts. And then if you're going back in dark pools, more volume lately has been entering. Right now in February, I'm making this video on February 17th. Look at February 10th, $20 words active. February 11th, 19.9. Okay, it's kind of the same drill. This was not after hours, no, this was during market hours, 19.9 on February 11th. And then we kind of look at the timing. February 11th is here, 19.9, right? So they kind of did it on the last real down day that we have. This was kind of red from close here, but from open to close, it was a green day, Wednesday, February 12th. So they, dark pool level that I have here marked, this is the one, and now already it popped higher. Again, as I've said, I bought here again, below 20. So that's also kind of a level that you want to watch short term on the stock. Okay, now that's a bit about the chart. That's a bit about the flows and how the flows and chart kind of telling us more about the overall potential, right? Because as I've said, it all comes down to execution and earnings, which I'll talk about in a second when it comes to the company and fundamentals. But when you're talking about cycles, stocks that we like, you guys know it from if you follow me on X, obviously all the Discord members from Flow Trading, we really liked Hood back here in 2023, and we kept following, kept watching, and we just saw more and more bullish flows entering with decent numbers. So that's why we really liked Hood from single digits to, you know, at $10 and 15 and 20 and 25 and 30, and kept liking it. And look at it now, it's 65, right? Hood. And now the narrative is suddenly bullish because they actually outperformed in earnings. Kind of the same looking at Palantir, right? Look at it now, all-time highs. Absolutely explosive chart, but the accumulation was actually here from institutions. Now you got a lot of even institutions that are chasing even politicians. Some are buying here. But flows remained bullish while earnings beat expectations and showed more growth. And it's also a part of the growing growth cycle in the market overall. The market is favoring growth right now. We're kind of in a rate cutting cycle that is, again, small caps, mid caps, there's looking much better overall. There's a lot of positives in the markets and in the economy overall that are another narrative for us to look for more and more growth stocks and turnaround stories, right? So that's about that. Now, when we're talking about Unity itself, all right, they have their game engine. They have, as I've said, in my opinion, what happened with Iron Source was disappointing, and the recent reports weren't good. That's what I'm saying. It's a high risk, high reward right now because numbers weren't good at all. But eventually the narrative will catch up, just like all stocks when they go much higher and much higher and much higher. Same as the last video I actually made about UPST Upstart. If you guys watched it here on a public video on YouTube, right? Why we really liked it because of flows. And now suddenly earnings are improving on UPST and it's much higher and it makes sense. Same with AFRM video that I made and why we liked AFRM. Look at it now. Once again, new highs looked amazing after everyone hated it when it was at the lows. So that's kind of showing you why these multi-baggers have a lot of potential when flows are shifting and buying the stock and where willing buyers are stepping in at key levels. Now, when we're talking about the company, my take is this, right? I like them long term. As I've said, I really want to see improvement on earnings in the next few quarters because right now it doesn't look great, especially with how AppLovin has been killing it. And the recent news, let's see here, right? Yeah. So Unity chosen by Toyota Motor Corporation for its next generation human machine interface to enhance the in-car experience, right? Now, to me, that's kind of the main thing and the most important thing that Unity needs to do. If we're being honest, they gotta monetize more ecosystem. Like, again, AI, VR, AR, which is kind of enhanced VR in some sense. They got a lot of potential to enter these markets with the new management that Unity has right now. That's what they got to focus on, right? Expanding into more ventures. And this way, they can actually prove that they can be profitable. They can prove that they can be an outperformer, and they can prove that they can grow and compete with AppLovin, or even just show by themselves that the prove bearers wrong, basically, right? So that's what we like to see, and that's another segment. That's kind of one of the things that I'm talking about. I guess you can kind of call it industrials when we're talking about automotive, right? I guess. But that's just one application that is non-gaming related, kind of, but you know what I mean. Expanding into more ventures. That's what we want to see. You got to take some risks, and that's what we also want to see from the next reports, kind of growing numbers in more than just gaming. Okay, because tech, that's where tech is going, that's where technology is going, that's where software is going. There are a lot of areas that they can take market share in, and to do this, they need to make the right decisions, obviously. All right, so it's I wanted maybe to kind of show the latest report, but I feel the main thing is this. Let me just kind of straight out say it. Okay, as I've said, numbers weren't good. Okay, but they cut a lot of costs, which is a good sign. It's also a way for a company to show on the balance sheet that they're doing something good, but it's not always good. I do believe that it's very good in Unity's for their defense. It's kind of good to go into the cost cutting approach, because at the end of the day, what we want to see is improved margins. All right, and once we have better margins, we have better growth story. So we talked about technicals, we talked about flows, we talked a little bit about the company. Again, at the end of the day, it's all speculations when we're talking about the growth in the company, but we just want to see that the numbers are supporting the growth story. All right, so earnings this week gonna be on very strong watch. Numbers, I don't care. Price section, again, a lot of people are kind of betting on lower DTE options on this name. I've seen lately trading it. I don't do it. I'm not an options buyer on Unity. Maybe, if it goes really low at some point and earnings are great and I like it for a potential demand support area, and I see supporting flows after a good report, after the stock is consolidated or compressing, I can buy some leaps with a few years to expiration, and then why not? I can actually, this could be another multi-bagger, not only through shares. But for me, my focus is seeing the numbers, seeing the growth story, seeing what industries they can actually get into, and focus on the recovery story, which is honestly what I care about the most. All right, so remember, all the segments are very interesting to watch and see where they actually outperform and surprise analysts, not only on gaming but in other segments. I talked about the chart at the beginning of the video, guys. I talked about the flows that we like seeing, that we are seeing all the time. And as I've said, I like the stock. I truly believe in their potential. I believe that with not amazing numbers, but with decent numbers, and prove that they are actually growing in the next few quarters, stock could be trading much higher. Okay, very dynamic, depends on many things, obviously, market cycle, Unity itself as a company. But at the end of the day, the market is very liking and nice towards growth stories in this cycle. So if they can prove that, I see Unity trading at 50s, even 60s, and honestly, Unity, I wouldn't be surprised if we'll talk a year, 2 years, whatever from now, and Unity is trading at $100. It could, honestly, in my opinion, trade much higher. This is only possibilities. Nothing is certain in the market. You can, you always want to kind of adjust your plan and keep watching markets, keep watching the chart, keep watching flows. Obviously, as I've said, that's what I believe truly hedging the markets and moves markets, especially in these options-led markets that are very that just seen so much activity from both retail institutions, dealers, market makers. So there's a lot of interesting flows that we have been monitoring and watching. And I think that's it. Kind of talked about the short term what to look, mid-term, long-term what to look, and the business and the opportunity that they have in their market share, but also in expanding their ventures across multiple industries, which is truly what I think is the key here. Because at the end of the day, again, if you just look at the face value on their business model, it looks very good, but it's not enough. Like, you gotta prove that you can be a big player in your market, and you also they gotta gain back a lot of trust that they lost in the last year or two from not only investors but from developers and from partners. So this, everything I said right now, I always look aggressively for the bearish take as well. I gotta look at it if I like a stock and if I'm long a stock, right? I don't want to be, it's not an echo chamber here. We have to be open to everything. But as I've said before, all those bearish cases for many other stocks, again, the last video I've made here actually on my YouTube channel, public channel, is Tesla, which is one of my favorite stocks to trade on the macro, right? Which, as I've said, by the way, we call the 480 stop on X. This was a good one. I posted about why. But again, Tesla is a heck of a company, obviously. But the sentiment was very bad at some point, even though options dealers rolled a lot of bullish flows. So this was mainly options driven because it's the highest options traded stock in the market. But the reason I'm showing you this is because everyone hated Tesla. A lot of people shorted it, said that they're bears, it's going to double digits, that's it, when it was at the low 100. And then again in 2024, just last year, when it was at 140, 150, right? I publicly said, and I was very loud about buying at 160 Tesla. And again, it was mainly because of flows, but because I also kind of switched bullish. I was bearish for a bit, but then I really switched bullish long term. And that's because, true, I looked at the flows, but I also started to believe that the narrative was unjustified to be bearish with a lot of things. Again, I'm looking at macro, Elon Musk with being in the government. I'm looking at the amount of bears and what their take is at this point, and the growth story. People talked about valuations and valuation metrics like P ratios, like it really matters for a growth stock like Tesla. So again, I'm saying this, and you look at it now, it touched all-time highs at 480s. We had a heck of a squeeze, as we thought, right, in quarter 4 of 2024. So I'm saying this just to show you guys again that you have to stay ahead of the narrative. If Unity goes down a lot, you're gonna see a lot of bearish narrative. But always think, it is justified? Were earnings really that bad? If Unity goes up a lot in the next year or 2 or 3 years, is it justified? That's what you gotta think about. Narrative follows price. Analysts out there will always put price targets to kind of go along with the price and with the stock because they're afraid to take risks. They want anyone who listens to them to kind of think of them as quote unquote smart money, right? So they go with the trend. The asymmetric opportunities come when you're taking the risk. So is this a high risk play? Absolutely. They have to improve right now. That's the time. And that's why I started to really like it from last year. And at this point, I'm long, right? So I like the stock. Plan is to obviously keep watching everything I've talked about and to add this year as we go along. We could break below this green channel, absolutely, but that's something I look right now to be kind of a main channel in terms of, technically speaking, to look at. This is what I call a Fugazi sell-off. Why? Because it was inverse head and shoulders when a lot of institutional interest came in through options flows. So to me, that was a selling climax potentially at $13. And for now, that's it. I'll keep updating you guys on X. We'll keep talking about it. Feel free to let me know what you think. And I'm very excited to see this report and also the next report and also the next report. And obviously, as always, seeing what flows are actually doing after the report. Because after earnings, IV crushes. And then when the volatility IV is seen, basically, we like seeing IV expansion before IV sometimes, before earnings sometimes, right? Because that's what happens. A lot of expected volatility is going up because markets don't know what's going to happen on earnings. Then when IV crashes, you kind of want to start watching more closely what big money and smart money is actually doing with options, because that's when they actually enter positions. Usually, not before earnings, as many things and many people like to speculate. Okay, so post earnings, even more interesting to watch flows. Once again, and not only new flows, but also the flows I just talked about, and see if they still hold, see if they roll positions, which means closing and opening a new spread or a new option strategy to hedge going forward. So that's Unity. As I've said, to summarize, I like the stock, and this is a high risk play here that is 1 to 3 year outlook for me. As always, we can adjust if it happens much sooner and the earnings look decent and especially flows look great. That's what I would trust the most. And then maybe even earlier. If it doesn't happen, maybe it's gonna take even more than 3 years. We're gonna adjust. Outlook right now is 1 to 3 years. And as always, guys, with that being said, appreciate you guys for watching the video. Much love. Again, we're gonna close access to the Flow Trading Discord in the next few days. So if you wanna watch, if you wanna join us and see what we're about, we have some newer traders, mostly experienced traders. Everyone learn together. Great energy, great community for everyone. Doesn't matter your level. You just have to have the right mindset with a good energy and willingness to learn. All right, no one's gonna tell you what to do. Contrary, you're actually going to learn how to do it long term. And again, we focus on analysis, data driven, talk every day, every week, everything. So anyways, yeah, I'll put my X account as well at the description. And with that being said, I appreciate you for watching. Much love. This is the way. Peace out.